Hello, and welcome to the Narrowing Path, walking the spiritual walk. My name is Steve Van Einstein. Thank y'all for joining me today as we continue to go through James Allen's daily meditations for this entire year. I like to say we're coming up on their 200th episode, which is pretty awesome. We've gone through half of the year, and let me tell you, the beginning part of this second half of the year has been fantastic. July has been great. So we'll be going into July 9th today. This will be fresh to you and fresh to me, meaning this will be the first time I hear or read this podcast right on, or read this meditation right on the podcast with you. Excuse me. So you'll get my genuine response, reactions, observations, and what I relate to about the reading. So here we go. This is July 9th reading of James Allen's Daily Meditations. The true, the beautiful, the great is always childlike. It is perennially fresh and young. The great man is always the good man. He is always simple. He draws from, nay, lives in, the inexhaustible fountain of divine goodness within. He who would be great, let him learn to be good. He will therefore become great by not seeking greatness. Aiming at greatness, a man arrives at nothingness. Aiming at nothingness, he arrives at greatness. The desire to be great is an indication of littleness, of personal vanity, and of obtrusiveness. The willingness to disappear from gaze, the utter absence of self-aggrandizement is the witness of greatness. The littleness seeks and loves authority. Greatness is never authoritative, and it thereby becomes the authority to which the after ages appeal. Be thy simple self, thy better self, thy impersonal self, and lo, thou art great. I needed to hear that one today. It's that's one of the things that it's one of the things I've struggled with since I've started this journey. I've had a hard time being right where I'm at and being okay with it. I don't know if anyone out there can relate to that, you know. And I'll still have it happen where I'll kick into this. It's almost a fantasy of just a power or recognition of some sort. It's not needed. I've learned that when I feel that way, I feel very small. I learned that. So it's interesting the terms that are used here. I just want to be. Some part of me, I think, still believes that I've lost a lot of time. When the newer thinking part of me says I needed every single moment of that to learn everything I've needed to know. And so I love this. It's a reminder to stay on this track. It's a reminder to walk this life. It's a reminder to continue to move forward, regardless of what my ego tells me, regardless of what my pride would tell me. But the right thing to do will always be the right thing to do. And you have no idea what will ever come from that. It's important. So let's go through this again. This is a powerful one for me today. I can tell you that. The true, the beautiful, the great is always childlike and is perennially fresh and young. The true, the beautiful, and the great is always childlike. It's interesting. It's always youthful, almost maybe innocent or maybe simple, right? Well, that's what he goes into next, right? Is he is always simple. So it's a simplistic view. It's a simplistic understanding. That's where we can find the most joy. the most honesty, the most rigor in our lives. It's pretty important stuff. And I guess I can agree with that. The true, the beautiful, the great. It usually is pretty simple. The most joy I usually find is in the simplistic things. This is the main body of it. The great man is always the good man. Let me read that again. The great man is always the good man. It's pretty important. It's a pretty substantial understanding to have. That's a target to aim at. Not to be the great man, but to be the good man. Greatness only ever will follow being a good man. I believe that. I believe that wholeheartedly, even when sometimes my mind will tell me otherwise. In my heart, I believe to achieve anything great and to achieve anything great would be to live a life that is happy, joyous, and free and contented, and to be good to those around me and to those I love. The goal is to be good, be a good man. And the second part of that sentence is, he is always simple. And it's true. I find the more simple my life has become, the more simple my satisfactions, the more simple my enjoyments, the, the easier it is to follow this way of living. And that it contradicts a lot of today's speech. It contradicts a lot of today's beliefs, I believe. I feel like there's a push for people to be more complicated, actually. And it's not needed. It's just not. Happiness and joy is not found in the complicated tangle of life. He draws from, nay, lives in, the inexhaustible fountain of divine goodness within. We bring it into ourselves. We find that unending soul of happiness and contentment with life that is just sitting right in the middle of our chest, which is just sitting right there for us to tap into. It's a power that just is given to each and every one of us. Should we just turn to it and embrace it? And if we can live in that, life will become something that you never thought was possible. I say it all the time, and it's just so true for me. It really is. It's been something that my own personal experience has found to be true. So how can I argue with it? He who would be great, let him learn to be good. Like we were talking about. The first step to greatness is to learn to be a good man. I believe that. That's why I do and live the way I live. I need to strive to be good. Greatness is a secondary achievement. My aim is at good. He will therefore become great by not seeking greatness. Isn't that the most amazing thing? It's like you can't seek peace. You can't seek serenity. You live right. You do good and righteous things. And then suddenly, these are the byproducts of them. You become a good man. and suddenly you'll have a happy, joyous, and free life. And then suddenly you'll have the opportunity to be a great man, whatever that might look like. Aiming at greatness, a man arrives at nothingness. That was my story beforehand. I wanted this power and influence. I wanted to be somebody, and I ended up with nothing. I ended up with less than nothing. Actually, I wanted to kill myself to settle the score, pretty much, to run away from my responsibilities. Because I was aiming at the wrong thing. And he follows it with the reverse. Aiming at nothingness, he arrives at greatness. When I aim to just be a good man and not aim for some power or prestigious pinnacle in my life or some um, position of respect, you know, to measure myself by, really, at the end of the day. When I don't do that, I arrive at a place I didn't know was in store for me. I use some generic terms here because who knows what that looks like for you? Who knows what it's going to end up looking like for me? I mean, even right now where I am, I'm in a place that I can help people. And that's amazing. I have knowledge and experience and a story that's brought inspiration to some. I never thought that'd be possible for me. So I don't know how much better it's going to get, but I'm sure it will. But even now, I have a pretty amazing life. I like this next part. The desire to be great is an indication of littleness, of personal vanity, and obtrusiveness. So when you want to be great, it's because you instinctively feel in your heart that you are not. It's a sign that you are little. It's a sign that you are immature, or you're misprioritized, maybe. Personal vanity and obtrusiveness. That's the truth. That's where mine came from, especially personal vanity. I just wanted the look. I wanted people to know who I was. I wanted to feel like I was important because I never did. I never felt like there was anything out there for me to affect. The willingness to disappear from gaze, the utter absence of self aggrandizement, is the witness of greatness. That just sounds like humility to me. Honesty and humility. To know you can just be another person, to know that you're just a person walking through this world, and to disappear into the background if need be, if God so sees it. The utter absence of self aggrandizement. So, living in reality, that's a part of humility. Not to lie and contort your own perspective, but to be right here, right now, and present with that. Pretty powerful thing. He calls it the witness of greatness. The ability to just understand where you are in life, maybe where your importance in this world, how you might be so extremely important, but at the other hand, you're another person. That's one thing I loved about getting into recovery, and one thing that helped me a lot. I was just another guy with a drug problem or an alcohol problem, just like the one sitting next to me. There was nothing else there. It was just one guy that had gone through similar troubles that I had, helping me out. Thank God for that. He finishes this up with a couple of cool sentences. Littleness seeks and loves authority. Littleness seeks to have power over others, to have authority over others and influence. Greatness is never authoritative, and thereby becomes the authority to which the after ages appeal. Greatness doesn't desire authority. Greatness sometimes gets authority hoisted upon them as a responsibility. But greatness is never authoritative. It never looks for that authority. And because of that, these people become standards. These people become witnesses. These people become remembered for their greatness, not because they ascended to authority, but because they didn't care to. It's pretty amazing. And he finishes it up with this: be thy simple self, thy better self, thy impersonal self, and lo, thou art great. So keep things simple, live a good life. Don't think everything's about you. And thou art great. What a cool definition of greatness. I'm glad he gives us that at the end here, right? Because some people get pride and ego tied up into this idea of great. And that's what I've had to separate, and I still do have to sometimes. The goal is to be simple, to live a good and spiritual life, follow that path. And being impersonal, meaning doing things for the right reasons, not all about me, my selfishness and self-centeredness. And lo, thou art great. Beautiful reading for me today. I hope it hits home with some of the people that are jumping on and listening. I'm really grateful for it. It's a good realignment and reaffirming to say, hey, you're on the right path and don't think about the rest. So really happy to have done it today. Thank you everyone who's jumped on and joined me, and I'm looking forward to July 10th tomorrow. So until next time, thanks.